I don't think the stock is broken, not yet. And we can see my what I'm gonna do right now is to see if there is a potential to buy the dip, which means anything, anytime or every time the RSI touch this downward trend line, that means it's an opportunity to buy the dip. So currently we are adjusting this trend line. We can see that the RSI is approaching this trend line, so I will keep it this way. I will keep it this way, and I will keep it this way and see what is going to happen to this trend line. How the RSI is going to behave once it touches this trend line. So we have Bitcoin. Bitcoin basically retested as low as $98,225, and is currently consolidating at this level. And you can see that we are very close to this downward trend line. What we want is for this week to actually manage to hold this trend line. That means Bitcoin is not going much lower, although it could quickly go to find support above our downward channel and push upward, and that would still be okay. Perfect market structure. We wouldn't break this market structure, and we don't want Bitcoin to come and break this downward trend line, this downward channel, and closing candle inside it. If this happens, we know that it's a break of market structure. So
Hello guys, welcome to NXBTO new video. Today is Monday, which means another Bitcoin weekly candle close.
yes, hello guys. So welcome to NX with you new video. So as we mentioned last week, you can see that Bitcoin retested last week as low as 98,225, and we mentioned that that area would um, represent an opportunity to buy the dip. So before we analyze this judgment, we're gonna have to see where Bitcoin closed this candle, this weekly candle. As you can see, Bitcoin was able to push all the way to 108,550 and actually closed the candle around 108,386, which means Bitcoin was able to close a candle above the 105 that we've been trying to protect for 2 weeks in a row, 3 weeks in a row. So you can see that for this reason that the RSI, the DXY continues to push downward. You can see how bearish the DXY is at the moment. You can see that we just printed a huge candle. In this case, you can see is a candle. If we measure this candle, we can see that it's around 2% to 2.5%, which is unusual for the DXY. It represents the DXY is really bearish and most likely will continue to push downward. The reason why we say that is, as you can see, we've been analyzing the DXY for a while, and you know that we are on the red phase, and most likely, like I mentioned in a previous update, is that the DXY is likely to bottom around the 95. And this would be great for Bitcoin, but it's not the most important thing. Like I mentioned in previous video, the most important thing is to see with the DXY being so bearish where Bitcoin is likely to go to from here. And we know that closing candle, this weekly candle around 108 is not enough, of course. And what I mentioned in previous video is that we need to close candle at least above 109,000, which is the previous rejection. You can see that this candle went as high as 109. So the high of this candle was 109. It would be great for us to close the candle above this level to show that we found it, are finding support above 109,000. And ultimately, we wanted to see a candle close above the 110,000 for obvious reason. We can see that all the candle has a high of 110,000 plus, with this one being the highest at 112,000. So we expect Bitcoin to actually continue this week pushing and trying to close above 109,000 or 110,000 for us to continue this bullish momentum, this reversal likely to be, this is resembling a reversal pattern. And I also gave you this date, the week of 23 of June would be the limit or decision point for Bitcoin for the last, during this interval, this time frame, 6 month time frame. And we can see that we managed to close this interval quite bullish, because if you bought Bitcoin, let's say here at the beginning of December 2024, you're still in profit. And if you bought during this correction where we managed to find support around about 77,000, you are most likely to be in a very, very, um, uh, you know, modest profit for someone who just invested 6 months um, ago. DXY and Bitcoin ratio, we can see that the ratio is behaving normally. And last week, I mentioned that we were keeping an eye on this RSI, on this ratio, because it was signaling something really important. You know that um, we draw, we had this line. I was not going to take this line from where it is at the moment because I just moved it last week, trying to explain you guys my idea behind it. So if we put this line back, let's say the RSI retested this um, retested this downward trend, the blue downward trend line, and bounced, which means the low that we had around 98,000 was actually the temporary bottom that I mentioned last week. So this was a great call, and you can see why. Although I moved this line to give it more space in case we had to go further down. But if we take this one in consideration, you can see it was a great bounce, and the temporary bottom is currently in place. Of course, we're not going to continue with this line. It doesn't matter. It's not important for me. The important bit is for us to respect this big trend line. You can see why we have multiple touch points. So we're going to keep it the way it is at the moment. And what we want to see the SRSI doing now that we found a temporary bottom is to keep pushing below the 30 level. We are currently at 32.95. We want it to go below the 30 level and continue to push below the 30 level towards our 18.62 level, where the other side will become green and will be marking the acceleration mode for Bitcoin. Crypto fear and greed index, the sentiment analysis is that we mentioned, or I mentioned in this case, that we've been making lower lows and a little bit of higher highs, and this was looking like a megaphone shape formation that usually is bullish, and if it breaks to the upside, it's likely that we're going to have to see extreme greed in the market for a very long time. And this is only possible, would be possible only if we start closing candles above the 110,000. This is where the sentiment is going to be uh, pushing towards or above the 74 level. And you can see why we retested with a push above 108,000. In this case, 108,000 with this candle, the sentiment managed to tap into 74. I've been saying that 74 is a great resistance level for the sentiment, and you can see that's the case once again. And we are now currently, consolidating around 60, 66, 68, which is good. It's greed, but we need the sentiment to tap into extreme greed. That means above the 74 that we are currently finding resistance one more time. That's the update for today, guys. What we want this week to happen is to continuation move to the upside, closing candle at least above the 109,000 and subsequently the 110,000. And this would give us the opportunity to actually finally break this upward, the mid of this upward channel, which is a very important market structure for Bitcoin at the moment. I know most people are not analyzing this way, but this is one of the most important structure for Bitcoin, and this is a great resistance level. Once we break this resistance level to the upside, the sentiment, everything is likely to continue to push upward. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you could enjoy this video, please consider leaving a like, subscribing, and sharing this video with your friends and family. Thank you very much.
Thank you.